Hello everyone. In the last lesson you have learned about the chord 2-7. In this lesson we are going to further explore the joys of adding a seventh to a predominant harmony. The chord of the day today is 4-7. Let's go ahead and get started. Chord 4-7, just like chord 4, functions as a predominant. It is built on the 4th, 6th, 1st, and 3rd degrees of the scale. As with any seventh chord, remember to always prepare it in the previous harmony. You should always prepare the seventh in the previous harmony. Also, remember to never double the seventh in that 4-7 chord. In terms of voice leading, remember to always resolve the seventh by going one step down. Let's take a look at the following chord progression. We start on the tonic, then we have 4-7 in the following measure, going on to 5 and resolving onto 1. Notice that the seventh of the 4-7 chord is prepared in the soprano of the previous chord, the tonic. So in the soprano of the tonic I have got an E, which is the third of that chord, and then that same E remains in the same voice but becomes the dissonant seventh of that 4-7 chord. Also, notice that that seventh resolves down a step. The soprano goes from E down to D in the following chord 5. So far, so good. But take a look at what happens when we go from 4-7 onto 5. The soprano and the alto are a fifth apart in 4-7, and they move on to 5 in parallel motion. In effect, we have parallel fifths here. So let's try to come up with an alternative voice leading that would allow us to avoid these problematic fifths. The first solution to our problem would be to swap the soprano and the alto so that instead of the fifth, they are a fourth apart from each other. As you know, parallel fourths in the upper voices are not bad at all. So the same chord progression would look like this. Another solution might be to go from 4-7 onto 5-6-4 and only then onto the regular 5. It is an especially attractive move because 4-7 and 5-6-4 have two common tones. So if you move from 4-7 onto 5-6-4, you are going to have a nice smooth connection. Your chord progression will be glued together by the common tones. And the last way to achieve nice voice leading while not resigning from using our chord of the day, 4-7, is to switch 4-7 into 2-6-5 and only then move on to chord 5. This progression is much simpler than it sounds when we are describing it with words, so simply take a look at this example. We start on chord 1. On the strong beat of the following measure, we go to 4/7. On the weak beat, we switch just one note. We resolve that 7th down a step by going from E down to D in the soprano. What that means is that on the weak beat of that measure, we have chord 2-6-5 sounding. Notice how closely related chord 4/7 and 2/7 must be if it takes only one note to switch from one to the other. After that 2-6-5, we can safely move on to 5 because the soprano and the alto are no longer a fifth apart from each other in that 2-6-5. Now I would like to show you an example of 4/7 from the literature. Let's take a look at a song by Robert Schumann. Now let's analyze it briefly. Schumann starts with the tonic, of course, extended over the first 2.5 measures. Then halfway through measure 3, he uses that 4/7 chord, which in the key of E minor, which is the key of this piece of music, consists of the notes A, C, E, and G. The 7th of that chord, the G, finds itself in the tenor. And from there, Schumann moves on to chord 5 and resolves it back to the tonic. Let's listen to it just one more time. Now I would like to talk to you about an especially beautiful progression of chords, 4-6-5, 5-6-5. Listen to the following example. So just as you inverted in the last lesson chord 2-7, you can also invert chord 4/7, and the first inversion, 4-6-5, is especially attractive because it allows us to connect onto 5-6-5 in a way that sounds really beautiful. Listen to the example once again. You can use this pair of chords, 4-6-5 and 5-6-5, when you don't want your cadence to be too definitive. At the end of a phrase, use regular 4/7 and 5/7 root position chords. In the course of your phrase, however, use 4-6-5 and 5-6-5. As always, when making the choices, let your intuition be informed by the shape of the bass line. Congratulations! Your vocabulary of chords now includes 2 predominant 7th harmonies, 2/7 and 4/7.